Melbourne's Albert Park is a familiar home circuit for Oscar Piastri, but the Australian will no doubt be holding his breath until qualifying for a more accurate picture of whether he has a chance in 2026.
I think it's going to be very different for us all, and I think it gives you a lot of opportunities, or certainly more opportunities, to make a difference as a driver, especially at the start of the rule set. So yeah, I'm looking forward to being able to try and use that, hopefully.
Piastri was a serious title contender last year with 7 wins that put him on top of the drivers' standings for 189 days from Saudi Arabia to Mexico. But while he'll have learnt from mistakes that cost him the title, a repeat is far from guaranteed, given the seismic technical regulation changes. Piastri claimed the 3rd fastest time overall in the 2nd week of Bahrain testing, almost 9/10 behind the leading Ferrari of Charles Leclerc, but on 1 step harder Pirelli C3s. And while the top teams, Ferrari, Mercedes, McLaren and Red Bull, are close, performance is expected to seesaw.
From a driving perspective, there's going to be a lot of changes. I think in terms of managing the power unit and the battery, that's going to be an element that we've not had to pay so much attention to before. So that's going to be the biggest difference, and how we have to change our driving to adapt to that is probably the biggest change.
Piastri has also made changes within his own camp. With Mark Webber focusing on the commercial side, Pedro Matos, his 2021 F2 title-winning race engineer, coming in from Prema, along with mental coach Emma Murray to up his game there. All of which means Piastri will be ready if he has the equipment under him to be able to deliver the elite results he's famous for. Formula One's brave new era is set to be unleashed this weekend down under in Melbourne, Australia, where the paddock will reconvene to race after 3 critically important pre-season tests. The sports-mad metropolis has always been a fabulous place to start the season, with Melbourne famous for its shopping, hospitality, nightlife and live music scene that adds to the fan experience. But the fans will have their plates more than full at the track in getting to see the all-new cars running competitively for the first time, given the huge regulation changes. For both the chassis and power units, where the MGU-H that converted waste heat from the turbo is now gone, and the MGU-K is larger and more powerful for an almost equal split in output with the sustainably fueled turbo V6 engine. It's been a handful for teams and drivers in testing, but regardless, it'll be celebrated in front of a sold-out crowd, all there to witness F1's milestone 40th return to Australia, 30 years after its Albert Park debut. Melbourne's street circuit winds around Albert Park Lake with the 5.278-kilometre layout featuring 14 turns and a top speed of 330 kilometres per hour. Charles Leclerc reset the lap record for Ferrari in 2024. In the new era, there are now 5 straight mode zones, the first on the pit straight between turns 2 and 3, another between turns 5 and 6, along the back straight, and between turns 10 and 11. The overtake detection and activation points are just after turn 13. And while it's considered an outlier, the greats all lead success there, with Michael Schumacher still leading the all-time Australia wins leaderboard on 4. Jenson Button and Sebastian Vettel have 3 wins apiece, while 8 drivers have 2. 2026's event, though, will likely be a sea of papaya, with hopes that young gun Oscar Piastri can be the first Australian to win his home race since the nation joined the calendar in 1985. And while Mercedes heads to the opening race as favourite, Piastri wasn't far off the pace, but knows that the new regs will challenge everyone, as he said at the launch of his MCL 40.
Yeah, there's going to be more for us to think about. I think, we've had the hybrid element of the power units previously, but there's much more significance around it this year. A lot more power comes from the battery. You can use it up a lot quicker. You can recharge it a lot quicker. So it's a much more kind of dynamic thing that we'll have to keep an eye on.
Piastri will be hoping for a dry race too, following 2025's edition, with its treacherous conditions, in which he went from second to finish 9th after going off at the penultimate corner on lap 44. Tyre supplier Pirelli has chosen the softest in its range for Melbourne and its recently resurfaced track. The selected compounds go ever harder for rounds 2 and 3 in China and Japan. Massive regulation change, huge unknowns. Bring on F1's new era at the milestone 40th Australian Grand Prix. The iconic prancing horse is Formula One's dark horse in 2026, with the Scuderia set to be a real contender ahead of the season's start in Australia, its alleged smaller turbo proving a potent asset. It's a good omen for Ferrari, given that 2025 was its 3rd season without a Grand Prix win since 2020. But the Red Squad isn't underestimating the complexity of F1's new era ahead.
It's a very, very difficult challenge, and this we are very much aware. There's a lot of work in the background, and only the track will talk once we will put the car on the ground. But the preparation, the hard work and the motivation is there.
Charles Leclerc's immediate feelings upon his Fiorano shakedown were positive before the Red Squad headed to test in both Spain and Bahrain.
No big problems or unexpected things, which is a good thing because it's such a big regulation change that's all you want really on a day like this where you only do 5 laps. It's not about the performance or anything like that now. It's just about trying to see if all the systems are working properly, which they did, so it's been positive.
Leclerc set the fastest time in Bahrain's second test, in effect winning the Winter World Championship. But while his 8/10 advantage was big, the Monegasque was on 1 step softer C4 tyres than his rivals. And it could carry that form into the season, with Ferrari's new SF26 car, the first designed by Merc import Loic Serra, featuring that smaller turbo for more efficient energy harvesting. And astonishing starts, which stunned the paddock in Bahrain. Tech that could finally enable Ferrari to move some of the pressure, both internal and external, and return its stars Leclerc and his teammate Lewis Hamilton to Grand Prix winning ways. Something they both desperately need in this crucial season for the Scuderia. Formula One is at its highest ever watermark in 2026, with the Australian Grand Prix grid set to be clear proof, with 2 new teams in German giant Audi and American startup squad Cadillac. Audi, which has taken over the Swiss Sauber team that once formed the basis of its German rival BMW's own work squad, has had a logical long run-up in its journey to the sport, with the initial announcement made at 2022's Belgian Grand Prix and gigantic ambitions for the squad at its 2026 launch.
We want Audi Formula One team to be the most successful Formula One team in history, but we have to start where we are. And there's a journey. We are measurable milestones on that journey, and we're excited to start it, and we're starting it today.
Audi, which goes into its first season with a stable driver lineup, including Nico Hülkenberg and Gabriel Bortoleto, had a solid testing debut, with the Brazilian setting the 10th fastest time in Bahrain. Cadillac had a much shorter lead time, having only gained its commercial deal with the sport in November 2024, though prep was well underway at its Silverstone Park base, located next to the track. Smartly, it's engaged 2 F1 veteran drivers to accelerate development in Sergio Perez and Flying Finn Valtteri Bottas.
I think it would help a lot, with the driver pairing that Cadillac Formula One team went. They're definitely getting an experience from me and Checo from multiple teams. We've been both through good and bad times in F1. We've both been winning races. We've worked with the teams that has been winning championships. So I think we can bring a lot, and I really can't wait to get started with that.
Cadillac had a strong, reliable pre-season testing run in Bahrain, where it incredibly finished ahead of the Aston Martins. It'll be all eyes on Cadillac and Audi in Melbourne as they set sail on their highly anticipated debuts at the pinnacle of motorsport. Jack Doohan's 2026 season-opening Australian Grand Prix weekend is set to be worlds away from a year ago, when he was lining up with Alpine for just his second F1 start. And doing lots of pre-event media, including a fun and informal catch-up for the cameras with local Australian rules football club Carlton.
Amazing to meet a lot of the boys, teaching us really their craft, and honestly it's been a great experience. So I'm super happy to be here and to come into your world.
Just 2 months and 6 starts later, 7 overall, and Alpine replaced him with Franco Colapinto, flush with backers from his native Argentina that he parlayed into a 2026 extension.
To be able to come with this great news for everyone, to have another year, an Argentinian representing the country in F1 is something that we should all be very, very proud of, and I'm very grateful to all the Argentinians for the support. But yeah, now let's get to work and let's have a great 26 together.
For Doohan, though, things got much worse later that year when he tried out a Super Formula car in Japan and crashed 3 times in 2 days at Suzuka, and at the same Degner corners. Fast forward to 2026, and Doohan has since been handed a reserve drive lifeline by US team Haas, which he will need to maximize for an F1 return. But while he won't qualify as an inexperienced driver for FP1 seat time, private tests for Haas and a likely European Le Mans Series drive for a shot at the Le Mans 24 Hours will keep him sharp. Given his last drive before those 7 starts with Alpine in F1 was F2, where he finished 3rd in 2023 with 3 wins, meaning getting back on track in 2026 is crucial. Doohan's F1 career is hanging by a thread, but it's not. Thanks for watching. To stay up to speed on all things Formula One, make sure you hit the subscribe button.